Hey y'all, Chef Sarah here at the Freight House, downtown Paducah. And today we're gonna do a little Hanukkah food. So traditionally Hanukkah is all about the fried food, and today we're gonna make sufganiyot, which is usually a jelly-filled donut, but we're gonna do it a little bit different. So stay tuned. Today, we're going to make sufganiyot. It is usually a jelly-filled donut. We're gonna try to do this a little bit simpler, and it's gonna be yeast-free. So the donut, beignet, that has the yeast. This is gonna be a little more like a fritter, and it's gonna be made light and fluffy because we're gonna whip some egg whites together. So we're gonna start with our dry ingredients first. We've got about 1.25 cups to 1.5 cups of flour, got 1/2 cup of sugar, like a heaping teaspoon of baking powder. We'll mix that up. Get all the dry stuff mixed together first. Now I've got all my wet ingredients. So I've got 2 egg yolks. So you're gonna need 2 whole eggs for this recipe, but you're gonna separate the egg whites so we can whip those. And then you're gonna have the egg yolks here. So mix all of the dry, which is our flour, baking powder, salt. Then we're gonna mix all of the wet. So we've got 2 egg yolks here. We're gonna add about 1/2 cup of buttermilk to that. So we'll just mix these up. Then we're gonna add about 1 tablespoon of melted butter to that. If you wanna go crazy, you could use bacon fat. It would be delicious, but definitely not Hanukkah-ish. I'd like to put a little bit of lemon zest in the dish. We're gonna put some on top, but we're gonna also put some in here with the dry. And that's another, I've shown this before, but again, when you zest an orange or lemon, anything, start at the top, come all the way down so that you're almost like playing it like a violin, and you don't miss anything and you don't get all of that pith. You just get that really flavorful stuff. I'm gonna add a pinch of salt in there because the recipe calls for it. And then we're gonna add our wet ingredients. So you can see here in the bowl, just make a little well in the middle. Add your wet stuff. Ooh, a little shot of vanilla too. So we're gonna start from the middle where we poured our wet ingredients in. We're gonna work towards the outside, mixing everything together. It's gonna be kind of thick, pretty dough-like. We're gonna set this over to the side for right now. And we're gonna whip up our egg whites. So the yolks went in here, and now we have 2 egg whites. And a trick for whipping egg whites and making them fluffy is if they're at room temperature, they're gonna whip much easier. Just get our little KitchenAid, kind of put them all in the corner together and turn it on. We're getting pretty close to soft peaks. You can see that when you pull that through there, they're kind of staying firm. We're just gonna go a little bit more. So when we pull that off of there, you can see that when you flip it upside down, see how they're kind of sticking straight up? Those are gonna be your hard peaks. So we've whipped this up to nice, like medium hard peaks. And then we have our other dough over here. It tightened up a little bit, got a little tight for me. So I'm just gonna add a little orange juice. Oh yeah, it's a juicy orange. So we're gonna start by just using about 1/3 of these. And these we're gonna start by mixing them in, I don't wanna say aggressively. So right now we're just kind of mixing them all together. And you can see what I'm doing is I'm scooping from the bottom and folding over the top. I'm not like just stirring it in, I'm folding it in. So those go in. We'll do the next 1/3 of them. Again, I'm just scooping them and folding them over. So this egg white is what's gonna make it really light and fluffy. The baking powder will also work as a leavener, but this egg white is gonna make it what's really light. Right now, these egg whites are full of air, so we are incorporating air into this mixture by adding the egg whites. So again, watch, we're just taking it and putting it over. We're almost just like cutting them in. We really don't want to overwork it. And this, sadly, cannot be done ahead of time. They need to be done to order. You can mise en place everything out ahead of time, so you can have all of the ingredients ready. But the egg whites, the mixing of all the wet and dry ingredients and then the egg whites, those need to happen when it's time. You can see this still has a little bit of egg white floating around. And when you put these in, don't just like flop them in. Kind of set them there at the top, kind of leave your piece at the top. So this is kind of holding it right at the surface. So if you could do it from the side, I kind of show you. So here's the oil. I kind of set this in and then I let it go. Oh, they're so pretty. And if you don't know why on Hanukkah everybody cooks everything in oil, I'll give you like the very abbreviated version of it. Long time ago, the Jews, they didn't have enough oil to keep the eternal light burning in the temple, and they prayed to God for more oil. They only had enough for one day. The oil that they had lasted for 8 days. You know, that was something great that God did. And so, yeah. So now you have the lights. They all burn for 8 days, and you cook everything in oil. Oh, these are so pretty. They're super delicate because of that egg white that's in there. They're just really light and fluffy. Aren't they pretty? So I like to cook them enough so that they're set on the bottom and then give them a flip over when they're still a little undercooked in the middle. And I don't know if this is actually true, but I feel like if you flip them over, so they're cooked on the bottom and they're still kind of running in the middle, and then you flip them over, I feel like the weight of the wet dough inside kind of pulls, and then you get like almost a perfect circle. And another thing, when you're frying and cooking in oil, it always needs to be at the temperature you want it. If it's really low and you drop it in there, instead of the outside setting, it's gonna absorb some oil, and that's no good. So let's do a little taste test. I'm like running out of everything over here. It's been a long day, lots of video shoots. And I need a different alcohol to pair with each shoot. So let's just cut this open and see. Oh yeah, look. It's just like a little donut, like super fluffy inside. Really hot. And they're not super sweet. That's another thing that I think is really important with these, is you don't need them super sweet because we're gonna cover them with jelly and powdered sugar. Coming at you, ready? All right, so these are still frying, they're still cooking, we're flipping them, we're doing everything. What we've got over here is some homemade fig preserve. So it's just figs that have been cooked down with a little port, a little Zinfandel, and a bunch of sugar. Cooking that down, we are going to squeeze a little bit of orange juice in here, just to make it kind of like a saucy, drizzly consistency. Mix that up. But you could use whatever you have. If you have strawberry, grape, orange marmalade, it would all work perfect. Then I've got powdered sugar here. I love when we serve beignets at the restaurant, I like to go up to people's table and just like totally douse their table in powdered sugar the way they would at like Cafe Du Monde. Just like to cover it. Like I don't even care if they have on a nice outfit. I'm coming for you. All right. So we're gonna take this last batch out. Oh, every Jewish girl's dream. A little pinch of salt on these. Not a lot, not like I would like French fries or anything, very light. Pile them up. And then I'm gonna dust this layer with a little bit of powdered sugar. And then I'm gonna keep going. Don't be scared. Don't be scared of the sugar or the fried dough. Ooh. Ooh. Oh my goodness. Then really get this top layer really, really sugary. Then we're gonna hit them with our fig and orange jelly. That's it, you guys. Sufganiyot, fig orange jelly, tons of powdered sugar. Happy Hanukkah. Bye. This little guy right here is like screaming my name. It's like, that part is gonna be the best, so. That's good. Really hot.